good morning, or whatever time of day it is when you're watching this video. I realized that it's been 2 weeks since I last uploaded a Let's Play video, so there's actually quite a lot that I need to talk about. Basically, the reason why I haven't uploaded a Let's Play video is because I just haven't worked on the park, which I haven't done because I really wanted to not work on this park if I didn't have any inspiration or good ideas of what I wanted to do, and I didn't have any of that. So in the meantime, I've worked on many different projects, some of which you might see soon, or you've already seen if you're watching this video in the future, or may already see. In any case, there's an X-Car coaster coming up, which is pretty much finished. I still need to make the music and the video for it. And there's also a collaboration with someone, which is going to be fun. I don't know when I'm going to release those things, but that's basically what I've worked on and what should appear sometime soon on the channel. And this morning I bought Parkitect, so that's really awesome. It's a really awesome game. If you don't know it yet, go check it out. You really need to. I mean, of course I can't promise that everybody will like it, but I like the game, and I finally picked it up. I already got it from someone a long time ago, but I really just wanted to buy it as well. And I might actually want to make some videos on that in the near future. But first, I really want to practice on it. I don't wanna share videos of me sucking at one game. So there's that. And I think I do have to talk about the Let's Play park as well. Basically, the thing that I wanted to do next in this park was to actually work on the paths and buildings in this area and make the big facade that is all connected to the dark ride. Something. I don't know what sort of dark ride it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a English dark ride, and I probably do want to theme it around, you know, some of those really dark, sinister England things. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Something like the London Underground. It's, I think, fun to make a dark ride of as well. So that's something that I want to do with this area, and really before I didn't really have a good idea of what I wanted to do with this area, but I've actually looked at some Chester mock Tudor buildings and figured that's what I sort of want to try. Now there's one thing which I still really need to say, and that's that I don't have any experience whatsoever when it comes to Tudor buildings and when it comes to an English theme in general, and to be very honest, I've barely even seen English themes made in this game ever. So if there's any British people, or not even British people out there, but just people who know stuff about British architecture, and it turns out that my architecture completely sucks and it's unrealistic, don't worry to tell me that my buildings suck, because I kind of need that feedback to, you know, kind of be sure that where I am going is actually a good direction. And speaking of the direction in which I'm building, you'll probably see a lot of me placing buildings and then removing them afterwards and placing other stuff and just trial and error all over the place with this theme, because like I said, I'm really just unexperienced with this theme, and I just need to practice with it. Usually I would have practiced outside the theme, outside this park, not recording, and then get into the park and see what I can do with that. But this time I just decided to be bold and go straight into it, which you might also notice by how unexperienced I seem in some of my buildings. And I don't know why the screen is standing still at the moment. That's also some of the things. What the hell was I doing over here? There was probably some stream issue. Yeah, the next couple of episodes are at least partly recorded in streams, which is why it might sometimes for a few seconds be just completely nothing happening, because sometimes I just need to check the chat, stuff like that. So I'm sorry about that as well. In any case, I figured that right from here, from this red bus floating thing, up until the dark ride facade, I want to have one big string of big old city buildings with some good mock Tudor architecture, but this one is more of a almost factory-ish, more high brick building. I'm really not too sure how realistic it's gonna be, but to me at least, the most important factors into making this entire string of facades look English is definitely in the textures and in the chimneys. And the textures, because I really want to get some of those weathered down English looking brick textures that aren't, you know, very clean looking, but, you know, dirty and stuff, because that's what England's like. At least that's what I feel would look English. And definitely some chimneys, because they're very, very prominent on English architecture. And then of course there's the smaller stuff like, you know, Victorian fences and Victorian posts everywhere, and listening to the Beatles and Blur while I'm building the buildings. I'm sure that's gonna help. At least that's what I've done. Hopefully it helps. And yeah, this was actually my first try at doing a timber building. A mock Tudor building, I should say. And I had to redo this structure a couple of times because one of the main issues that I had, and this was actually some feedback that I got from comments and later reflected, oh, that's actually true, is the fact that when you have Tudor buildings like this, what usually happens is that the second floor or even the third floor hangs over, so each floor kind of hangs over the one below it. And that's something that I didn't really have in the Tudor buildings that I tried before. So something that I definitely wanted to get in here, so that is why the second floor sticks out half a tile from the first floor. The only problem that I have with that entire thing is that it's Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and you can move half a tile, but the problem that I sort of had with this is that sticking out half a tile is a lot. Like, it would have been better if I could get the second floor to actually stick out a quarter tile. But yeah, that's something that can't happen in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, so I'm kind of fucked in that regard. And pretty much stuck with what I have. And here was a lot of messing with the roof, because I wanted to get those strings of pointy roofs that you often see in Tudor buildings. If you kind of have an image of what Tudor buildings are like, you probably understand what I mean. You get all these very little sort of dormer things on the roof, and that's what I wanted to have over here, but actually took quite a while to actually get them right. The roofs in general were a bit of an issue, because as you may know, there aren't any English custom scenery sets, but you can usually still get these stucco and brick walls with different sets, and I've already made some brick walls for the Dutch area that actually sort of fit this, but the roofs are a bit of an issue. So far, only Station Jim's Country Inn roof is one I think really fits. And other than that, I haven't really found any roof that I like a lot and think that it fits very well. So that's a bit of an issue as well. But otherwise, I think actually Alpine Village in this is very, very handy. The majority of these buildings are Alpine Village, just good old wooden posts and good old stucco walls. But now everything is white and black, and that should pretty much make it look Tudor enough. I'm sure there's actually some realism things that I'm still missing out on, and if I do, don't hesitate to tell me, but I'm really only going towards a certain extent. I like to think that this is still a theme park, and a theme park is not going to be a 100% perfect copy of a certain style, at least. And that is not the case if I look into theme parks such as Europa Park. So yeah, it's sort of why I do want to kind of find the freedom between doing what I want and just making some fantasy theme park sort of facades, and finding that sort of realism that at least you can recognize what sort of country a facade is in by looking at it, because that should always be clear. That's my main sort of, at least, thing that I want to have for these buildings. Here was actually a bit of overlap. I found that interesting because obviously, if for making these facades, I looked into a number of English cities and kind of looked at what they were like, and actually found a couple of buildings that sort of blended into each other. They would have, like, you would, for example, have a Tudor building with a brick building next to it, and then one part of the Tudor building would sort of blend into the brick building, have one floor which is still Tudor, something like that. Which is also something that I kind of wanted to have in this string of facades, because there's definitely a different style to each building, but I still wanted them to mix in a tiny bit, as that's why I kind of experimented with that. And otherwise, pretty much every building, the second floor sticks out half a tile, and that's pretty much the rules that I try to follow with this facade. One important thing is actually that I still don't have too much of an idea what I'm going to do with the inside. I think that for these buildings that I have so far, that these are going to be the gift shop. Just one gift shop, because obviously these facades on their own are way too small for one gift shop. So I think I'm just gonna make this entire string one big gift shop. And then the buildings next to this, as well as the building of the dark ride itself, should have the queue inside of it, sort of in a London Underground sort of way. At least that's the current planning. I am definitely still planning to actually get some sort of interiors in, and I'm not sure what sort of interiors I want to do, but I really can't ignore it. And there's toilets, of course. I should get toilets in somewhere, and probably a gift shop. and probably a queue. And this is going to be a dark round anyway, so that sort of counts as an interior. So those are the things that I definitely still want to get in. Though on the topic of toilets, I still haven't really got the toilet set, so that's something that I still need to install, but as soon as I get that, I'll probably make some toilets in the park finally, other than just taking a random building and slapping toilet signs onto it, because that seems like a very lazy approach to doing it. Though another thing that I do have to say against that is the more I build in this park, the more I am not certain if I can actually do it all in this park. I actually get some questions still about this, so really, just to clarify, my current plan is to finish this half of the park in this park file, and then copy the main street and bring it into another park file and finish the other half of the park in a different park file. The only issue is that so far I have built about 1/3 of the park rather than, well, 50% of it. And it's already over 13 MB and it's lagging enormously. You don't notice it in the time-lapse since it is, you know, sped up, but the lag is pretty bad, and even though this isn't an issue in the time-lapse, it is an issue for me building this park sometimes, especially when you have mouse lag and build lag. I don't know if it's called build lag, I know it probably isn't, like placement lag. No idea what to call it, but basically sometimes the mouse sort of lags behind, which means that you accidentally place a piece on the wrong, well, a wrong placement. For example, you just get a chimney and you try to build it somewhere, but your mouse lags behind. I mean, your cursor lags behind with where your mouse is going, and you accidentally place the chimney somewhere else. Stuff like that. It's pretty annoying, and sometimes it just takes a couple milliseconds for the game to actually register that I do a mouse click and that I want to place something, and for example I click the mouse to place a chimney, but it places a couple milliseconds later, and this isn't too big of an issue if you're just placing one object, but if you're trying to build a building and connect all sorts of pieces to each other really fast, it starts becoming really annoying really fast as well. And there is of course also the problem that at some point Rollercoaster is just gonna give up actually loading this park, and that's what I'm most afraid of. As soon as it actually starts crashing and I start having really big issues that, you know, I can't open the park anymore, I can't place anything anymore, that's what I want to avoid at all costs. So I'm gonna try to keep going with this park as long as I can, but I'm really starting to doubt whether I can keep going with this park for a very long time, looking at how bad it's already starting to become. But then again, I don't like to worry about that yet. I'll just see wherever this goes. Anyway, this was sort of the basic planning of the facade. By the way, don't worry about me placing none of the details actually still placed on these buildings. It was a bit of planning more so than adding details already, so I just kind of wanted to get this facade out there to see what I wanted it to look like. But really, I'm going to add the details and actually finish up these buildings in the next 3 or so episodes. In any case, I see that I'm out of time, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. This is of prestige. Nah, he can keep his outro. Auf Wiedersehen.